Well, let's check in now on the latest business news and those rising tensions in the Middle East, dampening investor appetite everywhere pretty much, pumping up oil prices. Yuka Royer from our business desk is here to tell us more. Yuka.
Well, Eve, the sudden rise in geopolitical risks has put traders on edge around the globe, with investors moving to safe haven assets like gold and the Japanese yen. Oil prices went above the $70 mark for the first time in more than 3 months. Brent crude is up almost 2% today, this after rising more than 3% last Friday. WTI also up 1.8%, this after US President Donald Trump issued a threat to impose sanctions on Iraq if US troops were forced to pull out of the country. James Lucena has more on the global market reactions over the killing of a top Iranian general.
As tensions grow, financial markets sink into the reds. Sunday trading in the Gulf was hit by a sharp sell-off in the wake of the United States drone attack on Iran's top general. All 7 markets in the Gulf Cooperation Council closed in negative territory on the first day of trading since the strike. The member countries of the GCC are home to major US military bases, and Iran has threatened to retaliate for the killing of Qasem Soleimani. Oil prices had already spiked in the aftermath of the attack on Friday, jumping by almost 4%, a trend that may be set to continue amid current geopolitical risks.
Perhaps are fearful that there could be some kind of disruption to supplies coming out from the Middle East. So Saudi Arabia does have a capacity to export via the Red Sea. The United Arab Emirates can also export via Fujairah, which bypasses the Strait of Hormuz. So there are some opportunities for these countries to be able to bypass it. They're not quite the same capacity level that we see as the ports in the Gulf itself.
The current trading is also a major test for Aramco, Saudi Arabia's oil company. Listed as the most profitable firm in the world, shares fell by 1.7% as they slumped to 34.55 riyals, the lowest level since Aramco began trading in early December.
All those Middle Eastern markets have mostly recovered from the sell-off on Sunday, with the Riyadh Tadawul just below the flat line, but with Dubai and Qatar rising up into positive territory. Meanwhile, a sea of red here in Europe. London's FTSE down about 0.5% at the open. Paris's CAC 40 down almost 0.7%, and Frankfurt DAX opening down 1%. Airline shares are hit hard, among the hardest hit actually, down about 10%. Now, earlier, Asian stock markets mostly fell, with Tokyo's Nikkei dropping nearly 2% on the first trading day of the year, due in part to a rising yen. Staying in the energy sector, Russia has reportedly started delivering gas through its new Turk Stream pipeline to Europe, through Turkey up to Greece and North Macedonia. Moscow is building Turk Stream and doubling the capacity of Nord Stream across the Baltic Sea to Germany as part of its plans to bypass Ukraine in delivering gas to Europe. Gazprom started flowing about 3 billion cubic meters of gas to Bulgaria via Turk Stream on the 1st of January, replacing a route that formerly passed through Ukraine and Romania. The United States last month imposed sanctions against companies building new Russian pipelines to Europe, despite opposition from the European Union. And here in France, where nationwide protests against the government's pension reform are continuing, Air France says it plans to run its entire flight schedule on Monday and Tuesday, despite calls for a strike by some crew unions. The airline company says that discussions between the government and unions so far have resulted in guarantees for flight crews' future pension system, and that it's confident it can operate its entire schedule over the next 2 days. And finally from me, 193 million yen, or about $1.8 million US. That's the price that a single tuna fetched at the first auction of the year held at Tokyo's fish market on Sunday, the second highest on record. Kiyoshi Kimura, who owns a sushi restaurant chain and is known as the Tuna King in Japan, bought the 276-kilogram bluefin tuna, although at a much lower price than the record $3.1 million he paid last year. And that's it for business.
1.8 million for a fish.
1.8 million for a fish. It's
it's sizable.
It's tuna, but
yeah, gosh. Okay. Yuka Royer, thanks a lot for that business update.